So welcome back. This episode, we're actually going to talk about how my marriage changed me, okay? We'll start off with the beginning. Okay, I met my ex, I was like 15. We met in a chat room years ago. Yeah, I know, when they were a thing, like Yahoo chats. Yeah, you feel me, you understand. So that's where we met. But back then, it was pretty normal for a 15-year-old to be dating a 20-year-old. Yeah, I know. Now, yeah, we call that conditioning, yeah. Well, at the time, it was pretty common. So needless to say, we started dating. We met up a few times, and then when I turned 18, we ended up living together. By the time I turned 19, we were getting married. His dad was actually sick, and we just pushed up getting married so his dad could be there for the last child to get married. Watch get married. Hindsight, we always got one of those. Hindsight, is 20/20, as they always say. Looking back, would I have done it? Absolutely fucking not. Yeah, absolutely fucking not. Would I change anything over the years? Oh, absolutely. The only thing I would not change is the 3 children I got out of the marriage. The actual marriage itself, yeah, wouldn't have done it. I should have run away when my grandmother told me, "Are you sure you're making the right decision?" But, being the rebellious little bitch that I was, yeah, I know. I'm woman enough to admit that I was, and I have no shame in it, because I'm still rebellious at 41 years old, and I have no plans to change it. So, yeah. Don't even try. Don't even try is my motto. I still tell my grandma the same thing, and she's 90 years old, almost 90 years old. She still tries. Why? Why would you even try? Needless to say, yeah. So yeah, got married at 19. Things were okay. The marriage was never fairy tale. I didn't expect it to be. It is what it is kind of situation. But needless to say, it was okay. Things were all right. Although, at the time, I didn't notice the little things. And now that I look back on them, I'm like, damn, that was you might as well say there was a field of red flags popping up. They were almost like daisies sprouting. Yeah. Yeah, they were. So, things were okay. Things, like I said, were never the greatest, but they were okay. I convinced the ex to take a job traveling because at the time he was working a job that, yeah, he was making decent money, but it was never going to go anywhere. So he took a job traveling for the operating room that was doing what he was doing, and he was making money. They paid him. So we traveled the U.S. for a couple years, ended up in San Diego, and then things seemed fine, About 13 years into our marriage, things got weird. Had to have a little conversation with the ex about the way he was acting and the inappropriate behavior that he was exhibiting to, co-workers. That should have been another red flag right there, but, it is what it is. Then some travelers started working with him at the hospital. But this guy was sleazy. He actually had the audacity one day he was talking on the phone to the ex and asked the ex to talk to me. I picked up the phone. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Thinking, he was going to talk to me about his child or whatever. No, he asked me if I would leave the ex for him. Excuse me, what? What? No. I heard you wrong. No, you should leave him for me. I'm the better choice. Dude, I don't even know you. I don't even know you. What? All right. I'm like, okay, whatever. So that strained the relationship with the ex. I went to Vegas a couple times by myself just to walk around the strip, and I met these 2 sweet little old ladies, and I went out drinking with them one night. Well, we didn't go out drinking. We went and had a couple drinks. They bought me drinks, and we just talked about life. There are 2 little old ladies. One of them lived in New Jersey. The other one, they grew up together. She lived in New Jersey, but I can't remember where she lived. I think she lived in New York at the time. But she was excited. I ran into them when I was coming out of the Coach store at Caesars, in Vegas. I had bought a hot pink handbag. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. The girl that wears black all the time, hot pink is my favorite color. I know, it doesn't make sense either. I know, okay? I get it. But it is what it is. So they were this coolest little old ladies. One of them, she was in Vegas. She was excited because she was going gambling. She went to Atlantic City all the time gambling. So it made sense. She actually had, is it Caesars? That's why they were in Caesars, is because she has the Caesars rewards or whatever through wherever she bet in Atlantic City, or Harris, whichever one it was. I can't remember. It was years ago. But we sat there in the bar downstairs in the Bellagio. It has like all the paper lantern type umbrellas and stuff, like that stuff. Yeah, we sat there and we were just talking about life in general and everything, and they gave me some solid advice. I went to Vegas one other time and I just was walking around. All the while, the ex was talking to some woman in Florida. I called him one day and I was like, I want to come home because I want to figure this shit out. Needless to say, he's like, yeah, we'll change your flight. Then he went back to call this woman on the phone. You're fighting for our marriage, but yet you're too busy. Okay, whatever. So we worked things out, and after that, things were just weird. It was kind of like robotic. All right, go through the motions. It is what it is. It honestly is. You know, hindsight, I know. But things got better after we had a couple more conversations and decided that we were going to start trying to have a baby, because that was one thing that I was not happy about, because we hadn't talked about it in a long time and I was ready, because we had held off because I wasn't ready at the time. Well, we ended up pregnant with my oldest, my little monkey. Honestly, the little monkey, my little string bean pole. Sweetest little kid. So ended up having him, and the ex told me he wanted another one. I was like, okay, we can have two. That's fine. 6 months later, I was pregnant with my little girl. She's Mama 2.0. I feel bad for any man that she ends up dating, because, or whomever she dates, let's just put it that way, you're going to have your hands full, because she is totally Mama, and Mama was a handful. Mama has no shame in that either, and I never will. And you know what? She shouldn't either. So that's where I thought we were going to end. Things were good. Had my little monkeys, raising 2 little kids, so close in age. They are pretty tight together, like they're pretty good and whatever. And then the ex told me, he's like, I want one more. Okay, after a lot of convincing, I decided, you know what, that's fine. We'll have one more. So we had my youngest. Now that little man, I love that little man to death, but he is Mama 2.0 and a hellhound walking. Oh yeah. My kids, you would think that they would have some personality of their other parent. No. My kids are 100% Mama. My oldest is the shy, quiet side of me. Yes, I know, you would never guess that I have that side, but I do. It doesn't come out very often, but I do have it. The little girl is 2.0 Mama, that she's very sassy. She's a huge rock fan, although she's got some K-pop mixed in there lately because, you know, she's 6. I know. Needless to say, it's okay. I'll survive. But she is still obsessed with rock music, so Mama's okay. But she's always wants Mama to do her hair, do her nails. But she's okay getting dirty. Yeah, normal. Mama and her sister used to do the same thing. And then the youngest. Oh, he's the mix of Mama. He is a sassy little ass. Love him to death. But also at the same time, he is crazy and he is a daredevil. Yeah, Mama. 100%. He is the accumulation of all Mama's personalities into one. Yeah. They always say that you're going to have a child that acts just like you. Well, I have 3 that act like me, but one of them that really acts like me. So yeah, needless to say, things were okay after him. A little more strained because obviously there's 3 of them and they're really young. But what I didn't realize is that while things seemed to be going okay, apparently instead of having a conversation with me about, shit happening and things changing, and my focus geared towards children and not the man-child that I was married to, and that he could no longer just do whatever he wanted and spend money on things that he couldn't afford, he decided that he was going to take it into his own hands and just start doing whatever he wanted. Yeah, he still paid the bills. I was a stay-at-home mom. But instead of having that conversation with me and being like, well, we need to figure something out, he decided in the worst possible way that, I don't really know what happened. Apparently, the job that he was working at, and he was making really good money, he was making 6 figures. Something happened that he got put on administrative leave, which strained relationship even more. And then all of a sudden, they fired him a couple weeks later. I was never told the reason why he was being fired, just that they didn't like him and that they fired him. No, that's not really how that works. So I'm like, okay, so that put a little strain. Finally, he found another job. He made less money, so that made him mad. Well, it is what it is. You have a job, you got a job. So everything was okay, but he wasn't happy that he had to travel. And I pushed him. I was like, it's only temporary until you can find something else. Well, he took that as I didn't want him around. No, that's not it. You have a job. Use this to gain the experience and you can actually do the job you want to do, but at home. I wasn't pushing him away. I'm literally raising 3 children and I'm just trying to make it so you want to teach your career path to other people. Well, this job allowed you to do that. Well, I guess he took that as an invitation to start downloading messenger apps and talking to other women a couple weeks after he started traveling. He took it as, because he was calling the kids like every night and just sitting on the phone for like 45 minutes to an hour. Well, the kids were getting upset because they didn't understand that why he wasn't home at night, why he wasn't there except for 5 days a month. So I took the initiative and I was like, just don't call as long. Don't call as much. Like, you can call every night, that's fine. But don't sit there for hours and hours on the phone doing nothing. Like, why are we sitting here doing this? The kids are not even paying attention to you. So make it a meaningful conversation and call them. Well, he took it as I didn't want him to call. No, that's not even what I said, but whatever. I'm like, we just don't need to sit there for 3 hours on the phone, literally nobody talking. And that should have been a red flag too, because whenever he called, there was really nothing to talk to him about. Because I would just explain, or the kids would explain what they did that day, and that'd be the end of the conversation. There was no other conversation about what was going on in life or anything else, which that should have been a red flag. Because if you're with somebody, then you're going to talk about stuff, random shit, all the time. I know I talk to my boyfriend all the time about random shit. That's the big difference. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So he got offended by that. Well, come to find out, he was talking to women on messenger apps. Okay. That was a surprise because I never checked the apps, but he was too clueless and downloaded them on the joint Apple account, iCloud account. Yeah, I know. If I would have done my due diligence, but at the time, I was so focused on 3 kids by myself, I was getting burnt out. So my focus was not on what he was doing. My focus was on surviving the day on caffeine and making sure the kids got to school on time. Everything was handled. And that's what I did. Things got weird though. In July, he came home. It was July 24. Came home and he had paid for a tattoo for my arm for my birthday. Well, apparently he took it as I was using him for a tattoo. This is what I was told. That you're a gold digger because I paid for your tattoo. What? We'd been married 20 years. How the hell am I a gold digger for a tattoo? But whatever. Needless to say. Then things got weird. Come to find out, he was actually trying to cheat on me with a woman that he worked with, where his company had sent him. Okay. Things were okay after that because she cut it off. And I think he realized, oh, well, I need to start focusing on my family again. October, he got weird again. Well, come to find out, he was actually texting some woman, and they were FaceTiming because somehow she ended up forgetting she didn't have clothes on and showed up in a FaceTime video naked. Yeah, I know, right? Also, while he was sending Discord messages to other women. Then he met this new woman that he's already remarried. He's already remarried and married to this woman. Met her on a game that we played together. So they were carrying on a relationship while we were married in a video game. Well, met in a video game. But it was my fault. And that I was cheating on him. Yeah. Nope, not even close. And the irony is, got mad at me and blamed me for being a horrible person. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Needless to say. He was home for Christmas 2024 and basically ignored me and the kids. And I'm like, nah. So when he went back to work, I told him, you need to figure out what you want. Like a week later, he was back in San Diego because he had got hurt at work. That was the downfall because his WhatsApp was blowing up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I woke him up and I was like, your girlfriend's texting you. And I walked out into the living room. And then that started a whole conversation. I don't have a girlfriend. Bullshit. Why is a woman blowing up your phone at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, finally came out. A mutual friend of ours actually sent me screenshots of conversations that they had because he'd been meaning to do it for a while because it was eating him up. That he was being told all these things knowing how hard I was working at home with the kids. So it blew up the ex's I'm not cheating persona. Needless to say, the ex was like, well, let's make it work. Yeah, I told him we'd make it work, but the whole time I'm thinking, what am I going to do for my exit? How am I going to get me and the kids out of the situation? Because if he's so blatantly lying to my face about cheating and not manning up to it, then there's a lot more to the story that I don't know. And I'm not going to subject me and my kids to that. I'm never going to be anybody's second best. So the ex decided that he was going to start calling me names, start calling me a gold digger again because of that tattoo. That's where that came into play. That I was a horrible human being. Dude was going off the rails. Like, he actually had the audacity to tell me, I don't like that you're reading romance novels because they might give you ideas. Excuse me, what? You do realize half the shit I read in those romance novels, I did when I was a teenager. How are they going to teach me anything? Sweetheart, I already learned all that shit. I already did all that shit. Yeah, no, not going to teach me shit. But hey, whatever. So that was apparently an issue, reading romance novels. So anyone out there reading romance novels, make sure your dude's okay with it. If not, red flag number 1. So yeah, it just gaslighting. Like, everything was my fault, but yet didn't want to take accountability. Then actually had the audacity to start telling me about his girlfriend and her family. I deadpanned him and I'm like, I don't care. He's like, well, I wanted to tell you about her, why I like her. I honestly don't care. I'm checked out of this. I'm here until we can figure shit out. Until I can figure out what's going to happen. Okay? That literally, I'm playing the long game here. You know, it may sound mean, but what are you going to do after 20 years of marriage and you're literally dependent on this person and you get thrown a monkey wrench? Yeah, you got to think on the fly. But then had the audacity to actually come to me one day and, can I go visit my girlfriend to see if things would work out? What? Like, what? 2 weeks. Can I go see her for 2 weeks? I looked at him, I was like, you can go for a week. Yeah, we have kids. You can go for a week. So he went away for a week. Although, was telling the kids that he was going to visit a friend on the other side of the states when he's actually in South America. My kids happened to see, because every morning my kids like to take pictures in the car with Mama before they went to school. Well, they wanted to see the picture they had just taken. My little girl did, and she happened to see her sperm donor hugging and kissing a woman that wasn't Mama on the cloud account. Needless to say, that was not a good conversation to be having with my, at the time, 5-year-old. So, but I'm the bad guy. I was the one cheating. Yeah, no. There's proof, but, whatever. And the fact that he admitted that he was sending nudes, and there was other people that he was getting nudes from, but he never asked for them. Yeah, no, the math's not mathing. Yeah, I know. You're thinking 2 + 2 is 6 at this moment, but we know that's not. Yeah, I know. So, yeah, little girl saw that, was not happy. He actually had the audacity. I picked him up at the airport at 11 o'clock at night. I actually had the audacity to tell me he was going to pawn his wedding ring for money. Well, little did he know that while he was gone, I filed for divorce, because I'm not playing second best to anybody. And if you're blatantly going to visit this woman to see if things would work out while still married and thinking it's okay, that right there is the instant kill of death. That, you gave me the best opening to this divorce ever. He got mad because I filed for divorce. You just came back from meeting your girlfriend. You're telling me you're going to pawn your wedding ring for money. But I'm the bitch. And started calling me names and bashing me in front of the kids in the car on the way back. No. No. Little did I know is he had already bought a return ticket to South America for 2 weeks after he had come back. So he had planned on leaving anyway. But you're mad at me about filing for divorce. Make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense. So instead he got pissed and decided, you know what, I'm going to move my flight up. I'm going to leave in a week. Okay. I'm going to sleep on the couch. Well, you weren't sleeping on my bed anyway, so it doesn't really matter where you're sleeping. You sleep on the damn floor for all I care. But apparently that was supposed to make me feel bad. No, dude, no. I don't feel bad. Go your ass out on the couch. I'll bring you a pillow. Next morning, got up and actually started packing his suitcase. You know the priority? PlayStation 5 in his suitcase. You're literally blowing up your children's lives. I don't care about me. Like, whatever. We can get divorced. That's totally fine. I'd already checked out. But you're blowing up your kids' lives, but you're worried about your PlayStation 5? Yeah. Oh, and his baby book. Baby book. Needed that and your birth certificate. So that way he could leave in a week. And that was March of 2025. Then complained that he had to spend $12 a day to call the kids, so he'd only call them like once a week or once every couple weeks. Really? Like, really? Yeah. So, needless to say, that was the, that honestly was the change that I needed. He doesn't realize that he actually did me the biggest fucking favor ever. He basically just handed me my golden ticket. Okay, I'm out of a relationship that I wanted to be out of for years. And you just gave me a free ride out of it. Nobody said it was going to be easy leaving it, but you know what? It was the best damn thing ever. And I have no qualms about it. I don't feel bad. It's not my problem he's having issues. We're divorced. That's what it is. The fact that when we had a conversation with the facilitator and he told him he didn't want any custody, that right there solidified that I made the right decision. Because if you can't even man up to ask for partial custody, even if you didn't get to see them, but you had partial custody, that would track better with your whole, oh, I miss them. Oh, my kids are my world. How are they your world if you didn't even want any form of custody? Even if it's just on paper. You basically just told those kids, hey, you know what? It's great. It's been fun. I love you. But this new relationship is way more important than you guys ever will be. Yeah. So, like I said, that was that's the synopsis. If you actually want to learn about it, I actually wrote a book. It's called Feral and Fearless. It's on Kindle. It's literally under my name, Jess Davis. Yeah. You can read the whole conversation, like the whole story. And some parts of conversations. Yeah, you can. If you want to know more about the story. But yeah, it's on Kindle. Needless to say, though, that's the synopsis. And that's the marriage that changed everything. And it just solidified that for too long, I let someone else dictate my life, and it was time for me to take it all back. To not only prove to myself that I basically turned into a puppet, it was time for me to be the puppet master again. And that's exactly what I did. I proved to myself how resilient I actually am, and that I don't give a flying fuck what anyone else thinks. And I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my kids have a better life, I have a better life, and I'm happy. Because at the end of the day, as long as my kids are happy, then I'm happy. So yeah, needless to say, that marriage, yeah, that changed everything. And yes, I regret getting married. I don't regret the life lessons it taught me. I regret the marriage aspect of it. I don't regret my kids. But I enjoy the fact that I not only learned lessons on my own, but he taught me lessons that I wouldn't have learned anywhere else. And at the end of the day, I'm thankful for that. It proved to me that, you know what? Sometimes just because we think we have to do something doesn't mean it's the right choice. So,